We are live right now. Welcome everybody. Hi Richard. Part two. You know we
Hi,
had to
sister.
continue. What's up, y'all? So we're just waiting for some people to show up and stuff like that. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about, what's going on.
Well, this person here, I want to touch on Amber Rose. Remind me, I want to talk
Let's
about her.
do it. Let's
But
do it. Hey
this,
y'all, welcome.
hi everyone.
We got
This
some
foolish
people.
person made a video talking about mixed people are not special and that we're having a black experience. All this
It's
BS.
crazy.
Listen, you see what we talked about this last night. Oh, and by the way,
Yeah.
if I talk too much, please feel free to say,
No,
"Okay,
go
Richard,
ahead.
I want to say something because I don't want to dominate this platform."
Okay.
I'm very verbose and have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, this psychotic person makes all these videos about mixed race people. So obviously we're of interest to you because you don't spend time on things unless it interests you.
Interest
You
you,
may
yeah.
want to, mask your issues and pretend it's something else, but no, you have interest in mixed race issues because that's why you keep making videos about it. If I don't have an interest in you, why would I even waste a scintilla of my time making a video talking about your situation or your issue?
Exactly.
It's of no interest to me. But
Exactly.
we're interested enough for her to keep making the same videos bashing mixed race people.
Obsession.
She's definitely obsessed, and I strongly believe she's jealous. She has a serious jealousy and self-hate issue. And we're not professing to be special. Like,
Exactly.
when people say black is beautiful, which it is, well, so is mixed race. Why are you allowed to say we can't? It doesn't go that way. And it's not that we're professing a superiority by saying that. That's who we are. We take pride in our mixed heritage. Why does that bother you? That's
why are you so pressed? That's exactly what I said. I left a comment. Oh, play that video for people watching.
Oh, I
so they
will.
can see what we're talking about.
Okay, everyone watch this psychopath. Ready?
This
And she's
psychopath.
definitely not educated. You can tell she's straight up ghetto, very hoodish. She's just not the kind of person.
People.
It's not the kind of person I would associate.
Not identify you, since y'all want to be mixed so bad.
We
Black
are.
Folks,
we are.
Black folks, you're having a black experience. Everybody in the black community gets it. You get made fun of for being poor. You get made fun of for being rich. You get made fun of for being smart. You get made fun of for being dumb. You get made fun of for being light. And you get made fun of for being dark. So you're not the only one who got bullied in school. A lot of dark-skinned girls were being called a lot of vulgar things in school too. Wham. So stop writing these fake-ass dissertations. Or actually, I know you illiterates do not know how to fucking write. Stop having chat.
I wouldn't talk if I were you.
Writing some bullshit and sending it to me. Because I don't care. Okay? Welcome to the black community. You're having a black experience. You're not special. You're not special. Today you must learn you're not special.
Can we admit her? She needs to be admitted.
Having a black experience. And if you want to talk to somebody about it, talk to your white family members if they will talk to you back.
Okay, first of all, I have a lot to say about her. You know what we should do after this? We should send her a copy of this video. When it's on YouTube, I'll post it. I don't care.
Get some education.
First of all, do you know what dissertation means? That's the first thing I want to ask her is, do you have an education? Absolutely not. There's no way on earth. I don't even think she has a high school diploma. If she does, I would be surprised. She's straight up ghetto, straight up hood. Like, who would ever take somebody like that serious?
I don't know.
She's bitter. She's jealous.
Dragger.
And who are you to speak for us?
Period.
Who gave you the license to speak for us? Do you know my experiences? Have you lived in my shoes 24/7? Do you know what I've gone through? Absolutely not. Don't speak for us.
Period. People think
that's like me trying to speak for a woman. I can't speak for a woman.
No.
So guess what? You can't speak for me as a biracial person. So can you do me a favor? Just shut up. Just keep your trap shut up. A lot of garbage comes out of there. It's like Logaria. Keep the mouth, the trap zip.
Just be quiet.
If you don't be quiet, then let me sew your lips up. Anyway.
Oh, here comes George Ward. But let me tell you, so I seen that. I was like, okay, why are you so pressed about mixed people? I was like, first of all, why are you so pressed about mixed people? We're not trying to be mixed. We are mixed. And if that bothers you, then you're part of the problem. Like, why are you so bothered by mixed people?
She's jealous.
Why? Like, why
it's a jealousy issue. Is what
Exactly. Come on up, Al. Hey, y'all. we're having a part 2. Our good old discussion yesterday was really good, so we're having a nice part 2 today. It's a little family reunion. What's up, George? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, brother?
Let's talk about
how's it going? Hey.
Have y'all seen this chick on TikTok talking about y'all are not special? Y'all are not special.
This
like she's trying to.
Fool. You can look in her eyes. You can see she's a very jealous individual.
But you know what's the crazy part? So I said that comment and people were like, well, somebody wrote to her. Why would you write to this woman trying to talk about your experiences? That's why we need safe space. Because if you try to open up and be vulnerable, your experience to people like this, and they're going to go in there and try to publicly shame you and like discourage you. That's why we need safe spaces. Like it's crazy.
Correct. Well, like I said, she can't affect me. She's a nobody. Like she doesn't affect me. She doesn't affect the all the money I have in a bank. Doesn't affect my talent, my clientele. She will never affect me. She means absolutely nothing to me.
Nothing. Like you're not paying my bills.
Stranger I see
you're
out
not
the
doing
street.
Nothing.
She's just unhinged. I do feel she needs, like Dr. Phil, some serious counseling therapy. Definitely needs to be admitted. There's something wrong with her upstairs. But I'm like, who died and made you the spokesperson for us? I really want to know. What credentials do you have to prove your position or your postulation that mixed race people don't exist? I'm waiting for it.
Exactly. Hold up. I want to give a shout out to Radical Latino because he created a petition for us. Where is he at?
Oh, thank you, brother.
Yeah,
okay, also.
I saw that. I saw his name. I think it was on your video.
I shared it on my community tab. So if he could post the link so like people could see and we could all sign and support his petition because he's our best ally. He's awesome. We love him. Love you. Radical.
We love you, brother.
All right, hold up. Yeah, he's gonna post it. Okay, perfect. Cool. Okay, so we're making moves, guys. Like we're getting stuff done. We're not worrying about these haters no more. We're not city. But you know what? Let's talk about this. Is what I want to talk about with you guys too. Okay, all of a sudden it's becoming trendy and cool. All of a sudden, right? Be biracial. Talk about biracial topics. Like I'm seeing it more. Like today, I'm seeing more biracial spaces. Like it's starting to catch waves now. So you know how people are going to switch up and be like, oh, I've been there. I've loved biracial people this whole time, even though, people like this exist. So it's like, I just know people are going to switch up. So it's like, how are we going to capitalize? Because I know there's going to be a wave coming of people like talking about biracial people. I can see the wave. Do you see it? Are you like a little I know you're psychic. I know you see it.
I do see it.
You see it? I know you do see it.
I do see it. And I'll tell you something that I want to correct everyone that's listening to this is when you hear about white people. Oh, by the way, everyone that's watching, we love all people. We're not anti. We're just celebrating our dual or multi-ethnic heritage into one. One's not better than the other. We love all of our heritages. So in case anyone wants to try to go there and saying we're, being anti this, no, we're not. We're celebrating all of our heritages. So I want to make that crystal clear. Okay. So you know how you hear about blackfishing, where these white women will, no, they're not. Listen, correction. They're not trying to look black. They're trying to look mixed. Part black, but part white. There's a difference. So somebody said, I think it was Chrissy. Chrissy, she has a YouTube.
Yeah, Chrissy.
I follow her because a lot of what she's saying, she's a beautiful black woman. I've never seen her, but she makes a lot of sense. She's like, they're not trying to look like black women. They're trying to look like mixed race women. There is a difference. So it's just interesting how people try to Afrocentricize things to fit their own agendas because they're so insecure. And listen, I said this last time, I say it again, is there's nothing wrong with black features. They're absolutely beautiful, just like white features are, mixed race features, which would come in various forms, but they're all beautiful. Asian, they're all beautiful. I don't favor one or they're all amazing. If we all look the same, we'd be boring as hell, right?
Boring,
we all look the same. We got to have some variety and diversity. It's like a salad. I'm not going to just be eating lettuce. I want tomatoes. I want cucumbers. You get what I'm saying? It's like us as people. We're a very diverse and variegated group of people. And I love the diversity that we bring to the table. Our experiences, our heritages, etc. It's not anti-anything. I want to make that very clear, everyone that's watching us here. Okay? We're just proud of who we are, just like you are. Goes both ways, right? Who gives you the right to be proud and we can't? If you can be proud, so can we. That's how that works. Now, if we're using our biraciality to discriminate, that's a different situation. We're not doing that. No one's ever talked
Yeah,
about
I'd like to see that.
against non-biracial people. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Right. How is that going to happen? I'm just saying. I would like to see just how that takes place or how that's going to happen. Right. The so-called biracial discrimination against monoracial people. I'd like to see how that occurs.
Only like maybe if it's in Haiti, because I heard Haiti had that situation. I mean,
that's true.
That may be an exception.
Right. Well, I meant in the U.S., but you're right. In Haiti, that's true. I have to concede to that. That's a possibility in Haiti. It's true. Not in South Africa, though. It's not gonna happen.
No, I agree.
Yeah, because the Dominicans are the majority,
people
right?
are too oppressed in South Africa.
So let me tell you guys last night.
South Africa
I was on a panel last night, and this African dude, he came up and was like, well, you guys are a threat to us because every time you guys always side with the oppressors, and you guys always turn against us, and we want to make sure like race mixing stop happening, so this stops happening to us, and you guys are unnatural and all that. So I was trying to talk to him like because I've heard all of this stuff before, right? So I was trying to break it down to him, whatever. But he brought up, wherever mixed people are the majority, black people aren't happy, and he brought up the Dominican Republic or whatever. But I was trying to push back on it. I was like, there's so many like dark-skinned black Dominicans that are so proud to be Dominican. So I was like, how is that even a point? Like everything he was saying didn't make no sense because they were saying like you are what your father is.
And I was
my God, all this crazy stuff.
We have a lot to talk about tonight.
Yes, we do.
Most definitely.
Well, here's what you gotta. Culturally,
hey guys,
the Dominican Republic is very different.
Oh wait! Before we start, I just want to make sure we all take turns so we can all get our opinion in.
Yes.
So so we can all take turns, like 2 minutes each. So I'm gonna let you go ahead, Al. You go ahead and go first, and then we'll take turns. What I was gonna say was
this: the Dominican Republic is a very Spanish-based culture. So it's culturally different. Haiti was France, right? So basically French culture. People have French names there, speak French. Dominican Republic is a Spanish-based culture, right? And it's basically, when you look at the people, it's more of a mixed race nation compared to Haiti. Haiti, you have a mixed race constituent. You have a mixed race class. I hate to put it that way, but it's true. Class, right? But in Dominican Republic, it's very different. This is what people don't get because they keep saying. I would hear people get mad at Dominicans. Monoracial black people get mad at Dominicans. They're black, but they don't want to say they're black. I'm like, well, it depends on what Dominicans you're talking about. If you're talking about, most Dominicans are not purely African. They're not. It's mestizo primarily, or mulatto to an extent. It's not entirely that. So it's kind of weird. And by the way, the lady that you had in the video saying about a dissertation, I don't know about a dissertation. All I can say is I only got a bachelor's degree, so I don't write a senior project. So that's it. That's as far as I go. I didn't go to grad school, so I don't have any familiarity.
I went to grad school,
but I didn't get to write a dissertation. Oh, you did?
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
She doesn't. I read dissertation, but I didn't. No, that's okay. No, if you went to grad school, that's fine. I didn't. I was undergrad. That's it. I only got a bachelor's degree.
That's still a degree.
I wrote a senior project. That was it.
Sorry. But I'm responding to Radical right quick. But his whole point was like, wherever mixed people are the majority, that's unnatural, that's bad, and they're gonna turn against black people. But I've heard this all before, and I was trying to push back on it, and it was like, he's saying that black people aren't happy in the Dominican Republic. That's why, we need to make sure you guys don't become the majority. And I was like, look, like it or not, you can't. I was like, so what's the solution? He was like, you guys just got to stop race mixing. I was like, so you're going to control who people are having sex with? Like, you can't control who people are, it's going to happen either way. It was such an unrealistic expectation. Like, we're all going to, I'm like, we've been race mixing forever, and Africans are still here. Y'all are still doing, so it's like, I don't know. It's just so many like narratives that, I'm finally starting to like break apart logically, because it doesn't make no logical sense. It's just all based on fear and emotions. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you sit here and like really talk to these, I was talking to him and I was breaking it down logically, and he kept trying to repeat the same thing, and it was just ridiculous.
I'm sorry. Is our Latino brother, are you finished speaking? Because I don't.
Oh yeah, I'm done. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I'm following your format, because I want to make sure we all get our time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Things.
Yeah.
Okay, so a few things I have a problem with his semantics, his linguistics. When he said always, that's an absolute. So when people start talking like that, I give him the side eye. The proper thing is that some. You can't say majority and you can't say all because we haven't assessed every person. When people use that language or say society, we all make up society. Whoopi Goldberg, and Sonny, whatever her last name, Houston, Austin, whatever her last name is. I cannot stand when people are using their platforms to spread misinformation. You can't say all. You can't say society because that means all of us would have to be questioned. Where's the cutoff? Is it 3 years old? Or is it up from 3 years old to 80? Where's the cutoff? You have to have research, I tell people, to make those types of statements. When you say all, you can't say all. We can't even say majority because I have received your questionnaire in the mail. Have any of you received those questionnaires in the mail? I don't think we have, right?
Mm-mm.
So when people use absolutistic language, it's very cringy to me. And I'm not saying that I'm nitpicking, being pedantic or anything, but my point is that when he made that comment to you, right away, I would have lost interest. I'm like, you're saying always?
I kicked him off the panel.
That's an absolute. You can't say
I was like, you got to go. You got to go.
Like,
I was like,
how did you conclude it's always? Show me your research that shows that 100% of people, mixed race people, have done this. Show me. Not one person can provide any evidence. That's a very uneducated and ignorant thing to say. The proper thing is that some. Okay, some, but some don't. Right? Proper thing to say. So going back to what you said earlier about the male, I find that quite interesting, how people change the narrative, again, to suit their own self-serving agendas. First of all, if they pass Bio 101 and study the Punnett square, the male only determines the sex or the gender of the child, but we're all initially born as female. A lot of people don't know that. And then through, I think it's meiosis or mitosis, as many years ago I took human bio, then we become either male or female, sometimes hermaphrodites. But the point is, that's the only thing that the male that has control is the sex or gender of the child. That's it. But a father does not dominate the mother. That's not how genetics work. Because when people say that nonsense, when I say it to them, all of a sudden they get quiet. If you want to play that game, most African Americans will be white then. You want to know why? It's because most African Americans, and I can say this because Dr. Lewis Henry Gates had some kind of research instrument that was able to determine that figure descended from a biracial ancestor or progenitor from slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what I'm saying. So if you want to play that game, I have to find a video. I know I've been telling you about this. I got to find it because he has a lot of videos on social media. He talks about, I think it's a Y chromosome. Okay, the Y, is that the female and the XY is a male?
Yeah.
I forget.
XX is female. XY.
Okay, XX. Okay, thank you. XY is male, correct? XY is male, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
XY as men.
He said, this is in one of his videos, that majority of Black Americans carry that Y chromosome from a white ancestor. He said that in one of his programs. Like, I wish, I got to find it, and I'll send it to you, Priscilla, and then one day we could talk about it. So I say to people, if you want to play that game about the male seed, then technically you're all white. Then it get quiet. You see how people want to change the narrative? Only when it benefits them, all of a sudden they want to push certain things. But when I bring that fact up, all of a sudden people get quiet. Where do you draw the line? I said, that's not how genetics work.
Got him.
My dad doesn't override my mother. But that's the case. No offense, Mom. I want to give back all my illnesses that I inherited from my mom. If you want to play that game. It doesn't work that way. You're 50-50. 21 chromosomes from mom, 21 from dad. The dad does not override the mother. If that was the case, I would have my mother's hair. People just say stupid stuff. They don't know what to talk about. Again, lack of education. Let me see. My father says I have diverse ethnicities from every background and race. Correct. The male does not supersede the mother, period. It's 50-50. I don't care if he has a seed. She has the egg. They both complement each other. They both need each other in order to procreate. That's how that works. It's not a 75-25, a 60-40, it's a 50-50.
Yeah, exactly. I just hate how when it comes to like us existing, he was basically saying he don't want us to exist, right? And it's like, but how would you, I was like, so what's the solution? How are you going to implement that? He was like, just no race mixing. But I was like, what about us right here? We're already here and we're not going to stop being here. So it's basically like, he didn't have no other way. So it's basically applying, oh, what, you're going to commit a genocide against us or something? Like, what's the solution here? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and that's been done to mixed people before. So it's like, it just scares me how like casual people are about these things. And then I'm happy it was like, it was on a public platform. So I was like, because so many people try to be dismissive and be like, oh, you guys don't have no issues. We don't have no issues. But this guy's basically insinuating like he don't want us to exist. And then he just don't want us to like have a genocide against us. And it was like, I don't know. I was just happy that I just want people to see this stuff. Like people are just so caught up on our light skin privilege. And they think that, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
it's jealousy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of times I always tell people, listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I'm not going to euphemize. I'm not going to say things to pander. I'm going to tell you what it is. Now, am I right about everything? No. Some things I'm still learning. But this is something I feel very, very certain about. A lot of it is jealousy. That's the bottom line is, I don't like the fact that you're accepted more than me. That's what it really is. And so I want to bring you down. It's like that crab mentality. I want you to come back down to where I'm at because I want you to feel my pain. I'm not saying I'm enjoying being treated better than you. I never said that. I think that's a horrible thing. We're all people. We all eat and go to the bathroom the same.
mm-hmm.
All right? But all I'm saying to you is stop trying to impose your belief system and paradigmatic views upon me so you can feel better about yourself. Stop doing that. Because you don't know my experiences. I have two parents, just like you have two. Well, in this case, maybe this woman doesn't. I don't know. I have two parents. I was influenced by both of my families. But in my case, more my white family, because they more accepted my brother and I compared to my black family. It's a fact. So you can't tell me that that's not my mother. You cannot tell me that it's not my family. That is part of who I am. Now, if you have a problem with it, hell, that's not mine. That's your problem. There's Dr. Phil or whoever else you need to see. Seek professional therapy, but don't be dumping that shit on me because it's not going to work. Your gaslighting is not going to work. Your mockery, whatever little tactics you're trying to feel better about yourself, it's not going to work on me because at the end of the day, I know who I am and I love who I am. I know it bothers you, but it's not my problem. But I do want to show you this young lady since you'll be watching this video. You said mixed race doesn't exist. Well, let me bust your bubble. Let me burst your bubble.
She isn't sure how many more chances she's going to get. Doctors diagnosed her with leukemia when she was just 13 years old. She's now 21. The four-time cancer survivor recently got into her dream school, the University of Texas. She was set to start this fall, but just 6 weeks ago, she found out her cancer came back and had to drop out. She's now undergoing chemo for the 5th time and says she desperately needs a bone marrow that's free of cancer to end this cycle.
With it having such a blatant history of coming back, I can't be sure that this time around it's not going to come back again. So the only known cure is that transplant. So it's really important that I get one.
In fact, when they get the transplant, we even sing the happy birthday again because it's a new life, completely new life for them.
Lizzie is adopted, but says her biological dad is white and her mom African American. If you or someone you know is of the same mixed race, you're asked to stop by Dell Children's. The address is up on your screen. A drive will take place tomorrow from 9:30 a.m. and run until 2 p.m.
Okay.
The match representative
so
they'll just need
in the beginning, I'm sorry, I just not to skip around. Here's the beginning.
The young Austin woman is searching for her perfect match.
She's battling cancer and is in need of a bone marrow transplant. Now Dell Children's Medical Center is asking for your help. Kayla Norwood joins us. And Kayla, that's because what she's looking for is hard to come by.
Oh, Yvonne Bryan, that's right. Lizzie Tennyson is biracial. That makes it more difficult for her. It means she has less than a 14% chance of finding a match. She ideally needs a biracial donor. That's why Dell Children's is holding a donor registry drive for her tomorrow.
There you go. For those that are ignorant and uneducated and keep saying that biracial doesn't exist, there's the science right there. And if somebody, you know, we're going to get one that's going to say, well, her father is white. We go by the seed. No, I have another video show the black father and a white mother with a biracial daughter, same situation. So in case you cats try to bring that up, I have a video for that too.
Period. I was gonna ask though. I was like, I wonder because she got a black mother and a white father. I wonder if she would have to have like a black mother and a white father, or would it matter like who the dad?
I'm sorry. I got to show this real quick because you know that's going to come up. So I just wanted to just cover all of our bases. Give me 1 second. Stupid commercial. Hold on.
Produce enough blood cells. It could lead to leukemia if she doesn't get a bone marrow transplant. How did you feel when they first diagnosed her?
I mean, as a dad, it took everything out of me.
Finding a donor match is always difficult, but it's more difficult for Imani because she's biracial.
With mixed race people, why it's so difficult is that there's so many possible combinations. So just tissue type is very complex. That's one level. And then if you match that with half of one ethnicity, half of another ethnicity, the number of possible combinations just explodes into the millions.
Outreach groups like Mixed Marrow are trying to lower those odds.
Me being mixed race myself, I know.
Okay, so you get the gist of it. Black father, white mother. So in case if you try to go there, I have that covered too. Next.
Oh, what were we gonna say, George?
You gotta school these cats because they be talking a bunch of nonsense and they don't know what the hell. They're not doing their due diligence and doing the research. Research, then come to me with some substance. But go ahead.
Go ahead, George.
Yeah, it's also in regards to like bone marrow transplants. It's even more complicated as far as we go, because although like we do fall into the category of mix, on a much more of a deeper level, we're probably might be a little bit slightly of a different mix. Because like I know that you say that Priscilla, that you're like black and Irish, right?
Yes.
But what about like but what about like a biracial who is like black and German? Because like my uncle said that there's like a bunch of like mixed people who look like me, who are like Afro-German. Or like what if you're like British, like British Jamaican mix? Because like, you know, over there in Britain, like they're very progressive when it comes to like mixed race identity. But a lot of like biracial kids are being born to like Jamaican like fathers and like white British mothers, or vice versa. So with a kid like that who may be in need of a bone marrow transplant in Britain, would he specifically need like a donor from like a biracial who specifically comes from Jamaican British roots?
It's deep. I want to
because
research that.
It's very deep though,
it's
because even
very
like
complex.
a Yoruba. Oh, like 1 second, cousin. I was going to make one last point. So, like even like in Africa, a Yoruba would need to specifically get one from another Yoruba. It can't be from like a Maasai, which are native to like northern Tanzania and southern Kenya. It's very complex process when it comes to bone marrow transplants, because my mom has already been through it.
Interesting. Wow.
It's very, very deep, guys. Very deep. So like even with you, Richard, you probably may not be able to get like a bone marrow transplant from just any like specific black, white, biracial, or even the girl from the video. It really boils down to what like the specific mix is, along with the blood types.
I agree. Lots of variables.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of variables are complex variables are factored in. So, but yes, with us, it makes it even more complicated because of just the diversity in the gene pool.
Correct.
But a lot of us need to also factor in is that maybe, Priscilla, if you ever needed one, it can't just be from any black, white, biracial. You might as well go with probably like somebody who's maybe black and Irish, or whatever you know that your specific ethnic composition is.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that we have the mixed, what was it called? Mixed marrow. So it's like we have like organizations.
Campaigns, yes,
like,
they do.
That's good. That's great. I'm grateful for that. So people could save people's lives and stuff like that. So that's good.
Right. So now we have science.
I wanted to. Well, I was just going to say, I actually wanted to, just to get this out of the way, I wanted to actually touch on a point that related to the video that was shown at the very beginning of the lady who was complaining about, I guess, mixed race people who didn't like being called names, or I'm not quite sure what she was specifically complaining about, but
she was complaining that mixed race people, if I'm not mistaken, mixed race people are not special, and she's not going to call us mixed. She's going to call us having a black experience. That's what she put in the video. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just bring, it's very interesting because I think it shines a light on something I have observed. Now, I'll say this as a biracial person. I didn't grow up in a monoracial African-American community, nor did I grow up in a monoracial European-American community. It was more multiracial, multi-ethnic. Therefore, a lot of what I talk to other people, biracials, what I call colleagues, a lot of other black, white biracials, I haven't dealt with a lot of what they've dealt with. And so one of the things I noticed, especially going on YouTube, and again, I'll try to be very careful with this because as I think Richard had mentioned, there are people who are going to automatically knee-jerk say you're anti this or anti that if you bring out points. And so here's something that I've observed. What the lady said was, everybody in, I gather, her African-American community gets, quote, teased, or I guess mocked, or put down. And I know, and of course, there's that aspect of roasting, right? Roasting people, whatever. What I notice is that there seems to be an idea, there seems to be a level of disrespect that's tolerated and supposedly accepted by people. And that's the thing that and that's why I have to be very careful about this, because I know there are people who are going to say, well, no, that's not endemic to how African-American communities are. And that's not how that operates. And that's not, but I've seen it to an extent on YouTube. Now, again, I'm not going to speak to what occurs in communities throughout the country, but I've seen a certain amount of this on YouTube. And what it speaks to me, or what it says, what this lady says this, is there seems to be this idea that people are not really accorded a basic modicum of respect. And even beyond that, it's this idea that everyone gets put down. Everyone gets mocked or treated with contempt. Everyone gets, quote, teased. Everyone gets disrespected. But that doesn't really work. To be honest, that doesn't really work. If that I can see within a community or within communities.
It's like she's trying to say that's the black experience, because everybody gets teared down. Like
I get
and that's already negative connotation right there. She's already associating all bad stuff. So I told you, there's something going on up here. But go ahead.
Hate issues. Why do you associate blackness with just people tearing you down? And I don't know. I don't like that. There's so many positive aspects.
Well,
of
again,
that, you know?
My Serbian relatives were oppressed, and they were from Europe. They were oppressed by Anglos. Is that a black experience? You sound ridiculous. They're white people. Serbs are white people. Now they may have some Middle Eastern, like Italians, Portuguese, Greeks, and Spaniards, but they're still white people though. They're majority white Europeans, Eastern Europeans. So are they black now because they had a discriminatory experience? She sounds ridiculous, but go ahead.
Right. What I was saying, I think, speaking to that and to kind of funnel that, I think she's under the idea that there is a, quote, black experience, and that what goes on in specific communities where you may have roasting or put down or people treated this way is the norm, that it's the rule, that it occurs in all African-American communities, or it is the way that African-Americans, monoracial people, conduct themselves or react or interact with each other. And so that is what I think she was pushing. So therefore, her view is, since everybody gets treated like crap, you have to get used to being treated like crap.
Yes.
And in my experience, I don't come from an environment where you get this roasting and you get this disrespect. you get this put down, especially as an adult. It's just not my experience. So I'm looking at that, I'm going, yeah, no, that wouldn't work. But I see this as I see this at times as an issue with biracial people, or these black, white, biracial people, is this idea that a number of black, white, biracial people say, look, we don't like you disrespecting us as people. We don't like you disrespecting our ethnic and racial hybridity, our mix. We don't like being treated like crap. And sometimes the response is, well, we don't care. We'll treat you like crap because we treat each other like crap. And that's what I got from that lady. Because I look at that and I go, that's essentially what she's saying. Hey, everybody gets treated badly. Everybody gets put down. You need to get used to it. You need to stop being triggered, stop being sensitive. And you hear that in some quarters. He's too sensitive. We hear that a lot. And it's like, well, you're human beings. Human beings get sensitive to certain things.
Correct.
Again, it's this idea that being totally disrespected and put down and even humiliated and vilified is normal.
You know what? It's like, sorry,
I don't think so. Go ahead.
Okay, so this guy came on my life. He was like, yeah, you know, I'm light skinned, I'm from the hood. And he's like, y'all just got to learn how to take it. Like, yeah, you did it, but you need to earn respect by just taking it. I was like, are you serious? I got to sit here and take disrespect in order to like finally.
Why do I have
like,
to go
what
through
the
that
hell?
unnecessary
I don't have to take nothing. Like, but he was like, I don't know. I guess he was coming from like a male perspective. You know how like men, it's like, oh yeah, they'll treat you like shit, but you just got to take it and don't be a bitch about it or whatever. I'm like, okay, but first of all, I'm a woman, so.
If the whole community is going
a beautiful woman, let's get it right now. A beautiful woman
from nobody. But he's basically saying
community's
like, you know,
not going to
it'll make you
welcome
a
me,
better
I'm out.
man. It'll make you tougher. It'll make you harder. But I'm like, I'm a woman. I don't want to have to be all tough and rough. And I don't want to have to do that, first of all. So, you know what I'm saying?
I'm a male
like,
and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to have to be tough and hardened and evil and mean just because like, I had to go through all this stuff to be hardened and be disrespected and for being, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't want to have to go through all that. Like, you know, if I'm not
if I'm not welcome, I'm out.
How
about that?
And people have to understand, in some cultures, it's only so much disrespect that's going to be tolerated. You can't disrespect certain people when you're in certain ethnic and racial cultures. They will not, amongst men, they won't tolerate it. There are people who get killed.
We shouldn't tolerate it. No, because it's so normalized. Oh yeah, that's just part of the black community. That's just part of the black experience.
Well, see, I don't.
You know, just
I
stop
don't
being a little bitch about it. Stop being sensitive. And you know, man up. And that's the narrative that's being pushed on us.
But again, but when I hear that, I go, it depends on where you come from. Some men aren't going to tolerate that. You can't talk to them a certain way. You can't deal with them that way. And like I said before, what it seems to me is like a normalization of not only disrespect, but of humiliation and vilification and so forth. It's not normal. It just isn't. Like, I don't view it as normal.
It shouldn't be normal. It's normalized, but it's not normal. It should not be a normal thing at all.
Precisely. Right. Yeah. Because, again, it's psychologically corrosive.
It's a great way to put it because, I was
so
talking to one of my friends.
I don't come from that background, so I get it right. Yeah.
No, I was talking to one of my friends. He grew up in the hood or whatever. And he was telling me, like, growing up, like, he went to, I wish he could be here. I'm going to try to invite him so he could tell his own story. You know what I'm saying? So, but he told me he basically grew up, went to therapy. He had PTSD from how he was treated when he was like, I didn't believe it because I wasn't in the army. I wasn't in a war or anything. But he was basically saying I was in my own kind of war from being disrespected and picked on and fighting every single day for being mixed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that was so deep to me. I was like, oh my God. Like,
it's a very real thing.
Yeah. And that was back in the day.
Like bullied in school.
Yeah. And they got PTSD from it. It's psychologically
a lot of it's jealousy though. They see light skin hair. I'm telling you, call it the way it is. A lot of it's jealousy. I'll tell you something that used to happen to me, and I brought up a picture. Now, this happened to me in my 20s. Now, I'm 52, and I had a hair transplant, but this is my textured hair. Everyone see that? That's what styling gel, and that's my texture hair. Growing up, the brothers, whites not so much, would always touch my hair. Always. I'd be sitting just randomly, like, I give you permission to always touch my hair. Oh man, you got some deaf waves. He's always saying, I'm like, deaf waves? Like, what the hell is that? Maybe I wasn't culturally astute, but I didn't know what they were talking about. I'm like, I didn't even like my hair. Like, you know, a lot of times we don't like the things that we have, but others do. They would always touch my hair and say, man, you have some deaf waves. I'm like, okay, whatever. And so when I got older, I realized where that was coming from. The touching all the time was, I want to have hair like yours. And one day, this guy said something to my brother. I don't remember all the details verbatim, but my brother's like, look at Rick's hair, because they call me Rick, but my name is Richard. And the guy, he was a black dude. He says, well, he has some of that blood in him, meaning white. He was trying to like make fun. And that kind of, even back then, I think I was like maybe 11 or 12 years old, something like that. That's when I realized even back then that I was not the same, because he made that distinction that because the hair texture I have is because of my white side. You get what I'm saying? Because my brother and I actually both our hair texture takes more after my mom's side than my dad. But growing up in high school in particular, I was always envied because of my hair, and guys would want to fight me over that shit. Can you believe that? Fight me over something that I was born with, that I should be proud, because I found out later on, obviously a lot of things come to light in hindsight, right? That a lot of it was because they were afraid that the women would want me over them because I was light-skinned and had hair that they wanted. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's still, even at the age of 52, I'll still have people, not as much as before, but they'll still say to me, oh, you have that good hair. Even though I'm still kind of thin on top, but there was like, you have that good hair. I'm like, see, now you complain about, I'm talking about some people, complain about, oh, well, you guys, want to see yourselves as different, but you're also contributing to that. You keep saying, I have something that's different that's not part of your group. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're making that distinction yourself. Can we talk about that? You keep saying, oh, you think you guys are better, but you keep saying, I have better features or better hair. You're saying it yourself. You're saying it, not me. You're coming to me, oh, you got that good hair. So that tells me right there, you wonder why a lot of our beautiful black women are trying to Europeanize their features, or biracialize, if that's a word, their features, because they know black natural features are frowned upon. It's something that's not idolized or pedestalized. It's frowned upon. It's placed in the back. Nobody wants anything to do with it. It's ostracized. And then you see features that get all the praise. You want to be part of that. I want that. So therefore, I want it because I want to be treated better. I see a mixed woman, gets all these cat calls from guys, and I'm invisible. They don't even see me. People don't realize in the black community, when you're allowing mixed race people to represent you, you're actually fostering your own erasure. You don't realize you're doing it, but you really are. You want mixed race to be the face of blackness so bad because you see mixed race as being an acceptable version of black because of our European or whatever other ethnicities we have in us. You're willing to give up a seat for us, but then when it actually happens, all of a sudden, then you want your seat back.
Right.
You want it back. Well, why did you give it up in the first place?
Exactly.
Okay, but go ahead. I just had to say that.
That's a great point, because we need our own seat. I'm look, me and you are always we're on the same page there, because I want us to represent us, like biracial people represent biracial people, and black people to represent black people. And I don't know why there's so much pushback on that, because it was a lot of black people who are speaking out against like how we're erasing them in media and we're replacing their image and all this. And I'm like, you're right. You have every right to protect your image, to protect your representation, because that's really important. And I was like, we need to represent us, and that need to and I don't know why there's so much pushback. It's like when we say it, like when we say the same thing that they say, like, hey, yeah, I think, like, when people, it's like,
your voice sounds distorted.
I'm sorry, your voice is, can you hear me?
Yeah, it sounds like you're breaking up a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, hold on a second. Okay.
Well, I had said this. Yeah, I had said this before. What you have to understand is that a lot of African Americans have been historically conditioned and socialized to see biracial people as Black people. So once biracial people come out and state what they are, there's a disconnect that occurs and a reaction that occurs because you have Black people that were taught, oh, these are Black people, but different kinds of Black people. And then it brings up different aspects to them, right? So now they're looking at you and they're going, well, oh, so you think you're better than I?
Oh, you were breaking up too. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Because you say you're biracial, or you've got this privilege, or you've got this.
But you know what? I'll tell you something though.
They bring up aspects into people.
But
then it starts turning around. Then it becomes a problem.
But I'll tell you something. This is what blows my mind about this whole topic is, but we are different. Like they're acting like, oh, some of these people acting like we just came out this way by serendipity. No, we came out this way because we have a different heritage than you. Sorry,
Precisely.
It is. Well, we don't look this way because, oh, we just happened to pick up a gene atavism I'm talking about from a prehistoric. We look this way because we have a parent that is a non-Black person. So you get two together, you get a hybrid. You get something that's different.
Right.
I don't understand why people cannot
but you also
understand that.
Because you're looking at it directly, right? Logically. But you have to understand when people are socialized and they're taught and they're conditioned to see one way, and that's the message they get within their communities. If you were to argue, what you're saying is perfectly rational, but that's not what people have been taught over the years. That's why when I realized what it was about, I said, oh, I see. Because before I couldn't understand it either. I was like, because I heard African Americans saying things like, oh, Black comes in all shades. I said, that doesn't make any sense. It's irrational.
At all.
And light skin and all that.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, you're much.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, I had to switch. Okay, perfect. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, can I just add something? I want to piggyback on what you just said about looking at it, from a directly, which is irrational, right? The same thing with the term Spanish. I got to say this again, because Joseline, I saw the video with her and Amber. Oh my God, and I mean this in the most respectful way. Joseline is a very ignorant, uneducated person. I was listening to what she was saying. Most of what she said made absolutely no sense at all. First of all, okay, and I hope she watches this video. I hope you watch it, girl. Listen to me. And
I just thought it was funny you prefaced it that way.
Listen,
in the most respectful way.
You're ignorant. Get all that wax out of here. I want you to listen to what I'm going to say, girl. I'm going to school you. You said you refer to yourself as Spanish. Let me school you. Spanish people are white people from Spain, aka Spaniards. That's what English come from England. Spanish comes from Spain. Now, if I have to pull out a map, I will. Spain, young lady, is next to Portugal and France. You know that, right? They're Europeans. The first Puerto Ricans were Taino Indians. They were not Spaniards. The conquistadors, as you know, imposed their culture onto the inhabitants because they consider Spanish supreme and just wiped out, obliterate all vestiges of Native American heritage in terms of culture. That's what happened. So when you refer to yourself as Spanish, that is incorrect, dear. Now, if you want to say you're a Spanish-speaking mixed race person, now that would be correct because that's correct. But you're not Spanish. She used that term, and I was like, right away, her education, right out the window. When she said that, I lose interest in the whole, because you're not Spanish. I'm sorry. Like Spanish, even though there's a darker Spaniards, maybe the Roma people, the Gypsies, whatever, but they don't look, no offense, but they don't look like Joseline. Joseline is a mixed race woman. She's African, and I don't know what other mixtures, probably Iberian Peninsula, which is Spain and Portugal, and maybe some indigenous, but she kept saying, I was like, huh. And then trying to tell Amber Rose who she is. Amber Rose was very, very assertive in who she is. Her mother's Cape Verdean, and just so you know, Joseline, let me school you about that. Cape Verdeans, for the most part, well, I should say for the most part because I haven't assessed everyone, but a good chunk of Cape Verdeans are multi-generational mixed race people. Being from a continent doesn't always reflect who you really are. You know, just because you're from Africa, not all Africans are Black Sub-Saharan African. And it's a fact. North Africans are not Black Sub-Saharan. Moroccans, Algerians, they're not. They're different. They're like Berbers, they're like Arabs. They're a different haplogroup. Egyptians too. Now, maybe way back in the day they were, but I'm talking about today, current, contemporary. They're not. Okay? Horn Africans, Joseline, in case you're listening. Yemens, Sudans, or Sudanese people. Who else? Eritreans, Somalians, Ethiopians. The reason why they look mixed with the soft curly hair and the aquiline features is because a lot of them have Arab ancestry from Saudi Arabia, which is right next, adjacent to those respective countries. So I want you to just open up your brain cells, young lady, and think before you speak. You can't speak for Amber. She is definitely a mixed race woman. She probably is, if I were to guesstimate, more European because her father, as far as I know, now I didn't see his DNA, looks like he's phenotypically a white male. Her mother is obviously mixed. She's African, Black, Sub-Saharan African, and something else. Maybe Portuguese, Spanish, or whatever. But you can tell she's a mixed race woman. So how does that make her 50-50? She's not 50-50 like me, which I'm closer to 50-50. But my point is, the reason why she looks more European is because she has a lot of white ancestry. Mixed race people do marry other mixed race people, ladies and gentlemen that are watching. Not in this panel here, but the viewers. They act like we don't have any kids. We're parents too. I don't understand why that's so hard to understand.
Well, yeah, we can all attest to that in here. I mean, I used to have a kid myself, but you two have children.
Yes.
So yeah, we're parents too.
We have kids too. And there's a thing known as multi-generational mix. I have two doctors.
I think that
go ahead.
Her being Cape Verdean, because it's more normalized out there to be mixed. So there's a whole mixed community.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes.
So that's why she's probably more open about it, because most people in America, most mixed race in America, I was like, no, I'm only Black. Like if she was only American and she wasn't exposed to Cape Verdean culture, then she'd probably be like, yeah, I'm a Black woman. But since she knows that like mixed people have their own identity and their own, unlike here in America where they don't. So that's probably why she stood up for her identity versus most people, most Black, white, biracials in America, they don't do that. They're like, no, they'll stand up for their Blackness, but they won't stand up for their biracialness. You know what I'm saying? So
correct.
Yeah. So it was so refreshing. It was just refreshing to see somebody stand up for our identity.
I know. Thank you, Amber. And I never paid attention. I never paid attention to her before, but now I have mad respect. I like the fact that she stood her ground, regardless of what that fool was saying, which made no sense at all, trying to impose her identity on somebody else because she's feeling insecure. And I'm sorry, Joseline. Listen, mixed race people come in all shapes and sizes and phenotypes, but Amber doesn't look anything like her. Amber can pass for a white woman. If I didn't see her hair, like whatever, from a distance, she looks like a white woman. Right. Unless I really look at her good, but she looks like a tan, like maybe Mediterranean. But she does definitely looks more white. So I don't know what the hell Joseline's talking about.
But again, here's the point. You're pointing out anyone with eyes to see can tell. Someone like, I just forgot her name, but anyone could see. Amber Rose can see that this isn't a Black woman.
No.
Anyone with eyes can see that.
Yep.
But when you have been taught, when you have been indoctrinated, when you have been conditioned and socialized to see anyone, no matter what they look like, as a Black person who is mixed race, it doesn't matter whether you use logic or common sense.
Correct.
Would you use reason or rationality? It doesn't matter because they have been taught, conditioned, socialized to see mixed race people as Black. And a number of mixed race people have been conditioned to see themselves as Black. That's why you have what I call the wannabes. The wannabes are those that will get mad at everyone else on this panel, including me, for saying that you're not Black. They will get mad at you. and they will hate you probably more even than a monoracial person. There are biracial people who despise biracial people more. And they have a loathing for it. They can't stand the thought of anything mixed race, biracial. They don't even like the word biracial. When you have someone like that actress who said the word biracial was offensive.
Oh, I know. It has a white son, but go ahead.
Yeah, Paula.
Right.
Miss Paula.
And so you're going to say that a word that describes what you...
Oh, you're breaking up.
Is offensive. By that definition, lady, you are offensive.
Thank you.
By that very definition, you are that lady. If I was saying to her, I said, you are by that very definition offensive. You are an offense because you're saying the word that describes you, and what you are is you're saying that is somehow bad, terrible, horrible. You're saying you're bad, terrible, and horrible.
But you're here, and you're white. Listen, I'll tell you what's so funny about her. Remember, I was talking last night, Mrs. Magic, about biracial politics. She complains about, I don't want to be called biracial, but she's loving her light skin privilege. She's loving it, soaking it right up like a sponge. And she even talked about it on one of her interviews, which I was surprised. Yeah, I do have privilege being light skin and my hair. I'm like, because you're biracial, young lady. Like, let's call it for what it is. Because you're biracial. So you complain about your mom being white, and I'm not going to identify as white, but you're loving those privileges that are coming to you, those movie roles. If you felt that way, then give those roles to an actual black woman. I don't see any of those biracial women doing that. There's Zendaya, Paula, Patton, Halle Berry. Oh, we're black queens, but I don't see you giving up those roles to black women.
Yeah, it's just the thing is that, like, when you kind of have like the ones who are just being more pro-black than black people themselves, it's also because they know that their look has played a huge role in the prominent positions in history when it came to like the civil rights movements and just getting all these prominent roles. They like look at like what's her name? Like look at Freddie Mercury, if you remember, not Freddie Mercury, but Freddie Washington. Remember her?
Yep.
There's Freddie Washington. There's Josephine.
Original.
Yeah.
No, she was in
Imitation. The lead, one of the lead characters in Imitation of Life.
Yeah.
There's Lena Horne, and then Josephine Baker. Like their look also got them to where they were today, and they were very prominent and influential. The ones that you may see like today, though, maybe such as like Halle Berry or maybe Zendaya, like getting on the more of the pro-black bandwagon and being more pro-black than them, it's just because they know that their look is going to make them more prominent, make them more known, and make them more louder. But they know that if they give that up, then they will. Yeah. They know that if they give that stuff up, though, they're not going to be as influential as they are now. So they may go right ahead and talk about how that, I don't really like my biraciality, but the moment you talk about this, you can just smell the cognitive dissonance within them because they know that they're just deep down using their phenotypical biraciality to move forward and to talk about all this privilege this and privilege that. I'm like, come on, guys, shut up.
You see dude, I love this dude. Listen, you got to send me a friend request on Facebook. I love my family. Matter of fact, all of you, let's be friends on Facebook, please. If you have a Facebook account, you're my family. But listen, you hit the nail on so many heads. I can't even think straight right now. You are 100% right. They'll bash and disown and negate their biraciality, their white parent, but they love the benefits that come with it. They love it. They know their look gets them in because let's face it, historically, empirically speaking, mixed race phenotypes, blended features, if you want to call it, ambiguous, gets in the door much quicker than someone that looks Afrocentric. They've done research on it. My dad, he's sleeping now, he'll tell you, he's from the Old South. He's the one that educated me about this. My dad, he's a black man. He's like, son, you will go places that someone that looked like me when I was your age wouldn't be able to access because I'm not saying they'll accept you 100%, but he said they still feel more comfortable around you than someone that has tight coiled, this is what my dad said, tight coiled hair and dark skin and broad features. And guess what? I'm 52 years old, and truer words were never spoken. I've lived it. I've seen it. I've heard it from both blacks and white people. Both.
Yep.
So I know it's true.
I did a live stream a while ago called "How Can We like bridge the gap between something like that between the white community and biracial community, right? Because a lot of us disown our white side, we don't claim our white side. So I was like, how do we fill that gap? And I did it with a white lady. Her name was like Nobody Jane, and she absolutely said that. She was like, yeah, we feel more comfortable around biracial people. And she definitely said that. So it was like, it's a true fact that they definitely feel more comfortable because, you know, around biracial people than they do, you know, fully dark-skinned black people. And it's like, that does, you know, get us places here and there.
Morgan Freeman said that.
Especially
you know,
in Hollywood,
the actor?
if you're a movie star.
Yes. Yes.
Especially.
Sorry. Yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I cut you off. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Oh, you're good. I was done. Somebody else. Hi,
Oh, no,
ToeNailBreaker.
I wanted to say something real quick about Morgan Freeman.
Go ahead.
He talked about, and Whoopi Goldberg, I'm sorry, I used to like her, but don't really care for her too much anymore, because she likes to silence people when they're telling the truth on certain topics. Well, Morgan Freeman had, during an interview, and I don't remember who interviewed him, talked about we haven't seen a black president yet. Do you remember that interview? Anyone watch it? I'll find it and I'll send it to you, Mrs. Magic. And next time we go live, you can review it.
I think I may have heard something about that. I think I may have heard something.
He was telling the truth. What is it? He kept saying Obama has a white mother, which he did. Well, she passed away, but he did. You can't dismiss her. He's like, America is ready to accept, if it's a person of color, somebody that's a part of them. And we know what that means. And all of a sudden, Whoopi Goldberg was trying to dismiss what he said, and he was telling the truth. I'm sorry, Obama and Harris are both biracial. That's not a mere coincidence. You get what I'm saying? And even Dr. What's his name? Dr. What's his name? The one that was, give me a second. The guy, he's African American. I can't think of his name. Dr.
Omar Johnson?
Yes. No, not
Omar.
The other guy. I think he was gonna run for president.
Okay. Is he Republican?
Yeah. What's his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Oh, the neurologist dude?
Yeah, I think he's a medical doctor.
Was it Ben?
Yeah, he's a neurologist, and I guess he had
Ben Carson. No,
Benson.
Benson. Something like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I respect him too. Because you know what he said? He said the reason why I wouldn't run for president, I'm not light enough. I'm not mixed like Obama. He said that during, and guess what? He was 100% right. I'm sorry. And they've done studies where white people behind closed doors said, well, they felt more comfortable because he has a white mother and he speaks well. You get what I'm saying? So that's privilege. People don't want to accept it, but that is considered privilege. And Obama and Harris, I mean, it's good that we have people of color representing, you know, the community or the White House. I think that's amazing. But we haven't had a black president yet or a vice president. We had a part black, but we have not had a black one yet. Sorry, we have not. It's a fact.
Well,
I can't even dispute that
true.
Go ahead.
It's true.
Yeah, I can't even dispute that. But a lot of, biracial people, it's like, okay, here's how a lot of us think of it. It's like you could get privilege, like when it comes to like Hollywood. Like I could see that. It's like, yeah, they're gonna be put on the forefront. They're gonna, like, in certain industries, I could see where biracial privilege is more stronger, I guess, in a way. Like it's more, you're gonna have more privilege in certain industries, like modeling, Hollywood. But I feel like a regular everyday life, I don't know. It's like it still feel like just regular.
I think
people.
It depends. I think it depends, though.
It depends, right? In some situations, because it's like no matter where we go, we're still gonna get but here's what I think of it too. No matter what community you come from, there's gonna be advantages and disadvantages. Like we definitely have our advantages, but we definitely have our disadvantages as well. Like where we don't really have like a large sense of community, so it's like we can't really. That's something, a privilege like the black community has over us. Like they actually have like a community where they versus us, we don't have.
That's not really a privilege. That's not really a privilege.
That's something they have that we don't.
Of life. Every other ethnic group has a community. That's not a privilege. That's nothing special. That's nothing special. The problem with being biracial, I think you brought up a good point, Magic. the problem being biracial in everyday American life is there's very little benefit to it for the average biracial person. The average biracial person is going to face their own form of discrimination, their own form of racism, their own issues, their own problems. And so when I hear people talk about privilege and all of this, I'm like, yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of it. And I can only say in my life personally, I was a freelance writer for over 20 years. I was a print journalist for over 20 years. I didn't really make a big deal about the fact that I was biracial. I didn't, because my honest view was, I'm not, I'm probably, my feeling was I would probably get discriminated against in some way, shape, or form. And I didn't want that. I just stick to the work and what I need to do. And I never cared about it. It wasn't until much later on when I discovered biracial social media groups and then, of course, YouTube, that I started talking about being biracial. Before that, I didn't really care. It wasn't a big deal.
Oh, have you ever thought about
focused on
writing
my career, my work.
characters? Have you ever thought about writing like biracial characters? Because I was talking to like this actor one time, and he was saying like that's why the privilege comes in, right? When it comes to playing black roles, they'll prefer you over like a fully dark-skinned person, right? So that's where the privilege comes in. But when it comes to taking, like, we don't have our own roles. Like, that's where the disadvantage comes in. Like, if you want to
may I add something to that though?
Yeah.
I think when it comes to masculine roles, they prefer a dark-skinned black male. Whereas when it comes to more executive roles, they're more biracial.
True. And then when it comes to like women, of course the women, the biracial women are going to be at the forefront. So
yeah, I guess that's an issue for, the film and TV community to deal with. You know what I mean? Like, I was in journalism. I wrote for publications, so I didn't write scripts.
Oh, you didn't do like
I didn't write novels and I didn't write scripts. I studied English and I intended to be a novelist and a short story writer, but it didn't work that way. Life had other plans for me, I guess, and I wound up a freelance writer. So, I can't personally speak to that. I think it would be good if there are biracial roles in movies and TV shows and maybe novels. I'll be honest with you though. I don't bring race into my work. I never did. And if I were writing novels, I know some people aren't going to like this. I wouldn't write about biracial characters per se. I wouldn't do that per se. I wouldn't do it. It just wouldn't be anything I would be interested in doing. And, and some people may not want to hear that and may not like that, but if I were a novelist, I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't describe their race at all. You would be like, keep it neutral. That's respectable.
Well, yeah, maybe. Well, I wouldn't write. Here's the reason why probably I wouldn't. I don't want to create something that could be turned into an archetype or stereotype against biracial people. So I would prefer to write about other people. I'll be brutally honest. If I'm writing novels, I would not write about mixed race characters. And again, I'm sure somebody will flip this and get mad and say, hey, look at Al. Look at what he said. Well, I'd rather write about other people. And if I were a novelist, I haven't written a novel. But if I were, I'd rather write about other characters. But I don't want anything that can be misconstrued. At this point, I don't want anything that can be misconstrued against biracial people.
What I will say this is that Alex, that what I've been wanting to say is that people are not going to value stuff they don't get. Biraciality is just not going to get, it's not going to be something that probably your readers are going to get. But they would probably certainly get another person. So I actually understand where you're coming from. Now, I would personally write about characters like ourselves, just so that, hey, people can at least maybe live vicariously through somebody such as ourselves, even though I know in the back of my mind is that, hey, people are probably not going to see it as valuable because they don't value stuff they don't understand.
That's true.
I do think if people want to write about biracial, if they want to write novels and short stories about biracial characters, I think that's a perfectly good thing. So I'm all for that. I just personally wouldn't do it myself, but I don't write literature at this point.
And that's, I respect you for that. I mean, you have that choice. You don't have to, give in or defer to, our belief systems. I mean, you do what works for you.
Exactly. You do you.
Right.
Right.
It doesn't bother me
I
at
agree.
all.
It doesn't bother me. Yeah, but okay. So I was on my live stream, and then I got in contact with he was an actor. He was a mixed race actor too. And he was saying, he had to like kind of erase part of his, I think he was Black and Native. And he said that he had to erase part of his identity. I was going to do an interview with him because he was really interesting. He had to erase part of identity just so he could get like Native American roles. He had to erase like his Blackness out of it because there's not too many roles for like mixed race people. And I don't know, it made me sad because I'm like, there is like some areas of opportunity where it's like we don't have too much opportunity in that we need to create those opportunities for us, and it's like, yeah. So it's like, I don't know, it made me sad. Poor guy. Like,
you shouldn't have to hide.
He shouldn't have to hide who he is. Exactly.
This is why it becomes a psychological, a mental health issue when we're told that we don't exist or we're invisible.
Exactly.
People need to stop doing that because guess what? You don't want people doing it to you. Don't do it to me. That's how that works. If you don't want me damaging your car, don't damage mine. You understand?
Yep.
A tit for a tat. So I think that's why a lot of mixed race people become polarized and they side with one heritage versus the others because they're tired of looking for or seeking validation because of treating like they're invisible. I remember I told you in grad school, like I talked about this issue, people act like I was speaking Greek. Like, come on. Even back then, we had quite a bit of mixed race people that were going to my school and the community. I'm like, you guys never talk about it? Like, do you ever think about it? And finally, a couple brave soldiers came forward and said, well, I did think about it. I was like, well, it's a safe place. We can talk about it. That's why I'm giving a presentation. I'm trying to give it to you from a biracial male's perspective. So take this as a great opportunity to learn about us. But I just remember back then just feeling alone because I always felt like I always had to go through a song and dance to let people know that we do exist and stop placing us into a box. You can't act like I'm the same as someone that has 2 white parents or 2 Black parents. We're not the same. I'm sorry. Our experiences are different. Our socialization, for the most part, is going to be different. Our genes are different. How are they the same? I don't understand why we're still arguing about this so many years later. Like, it's just common sense. When you mix, and not that I don't want to be like, insulting or anything, but when you mix a breed, let's say, for example, a pit bull, I don't know, with a German Shepherd, it's no longer a pit bull. It's a mix. It's a German Shepherd pit bull mix, right? You get fruits. You marry them together, you get a hybrid. It's called pineapple orange. It's no longer called. I don't understand why the rules.
Thank you. So simple. I always bring that up. I always bring up like I always say we're like honey mustard. We're like honey and then mustard, and you bring it together and you make honey mustard. It's its own thing. It's not honey no more. It's not mustard no more. It's its own creation. So I always bring that up too. And then, man, I don't know. It's like we have to scream and yell, and it always like falls on deaf ears. I don't know why. It just always falls on deaf. But I think things are changing. I see.
For sure. Things are definitely changing.
We keep making noises. I'm seeing more spaces popping up. I'm like, it's trickling into like, how like life is all about highs and lows. Like we were in a low point, but I feel like the wave is coming where it's like, okay, now it's gonna be more visibility. There's gonna be more people talking about these things, and we could get some stuff done while we have that limelight for a little while. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I could feel it coming, and we just gotta make sure we capitalize on it and make sure we're benefiting our community. And we're giving attention to the right people because a lot of people have tried to be grifters. You know how like in the Black community, how they race hustle and act like they're like for our people and they're trying to help us, but they're actually just trying to make money. So we gotta be careful about that too. We got to be careful about people just trying to race hustle us and trying to say, hey, donate to me because like we don't want no biracial Umar Johnsons. Okay, we don't need that.
Yes. Oh, and may I show you all something real quick?
Yikes! Oh, that's a horrible thought.
Yeah,
what a horrible thought.
And we've had people like that. We've had people like that in these communities that try to, but they get shut down. We're smart people. We see through the BS. Come on, you can't fool me one time, but
yeah,
we see through the BS eventually. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I would like to hear from ToeNail. How you doing, ToeNail? You haven't had an opportunity to speak at all. So,
good evening. Just trying to be patient and wait.
Oh my God, you've been waiting all this time. Oh man, I feel bad. Go ahead, please
Take it away, Toenail.
One of the things I wanted to bring up actually from last night and now today, Halle Berry basically is brought back up again. Interesting, because my wife even asked me, she's like, "Why do you have Halle Berry there? What is there?" Oh, this is for a project. I was trying to show that people here when they say that oh, Halle Berry looks black. So I'm going to bring to see how the whole black thing is an illusion, and as you guys said, it's a conditioning. Um, so even Halle Berry, I don't know if you guys remember, but she said something. The reason why she says she's black, she gave pretty much the same statement that her white mother told her. Well, the world sees you as black. It's really interesting. The world sees you as black. You haven't traveled the world with your child, and you're going to say the world sees you as black. I take that statement very offensively, because how in the world do you think that the United States makes up 4.2% of the world population? Do you think the whole entire world has the vision of race like the United States? Like the 4.2%? And we're not talking about land mass. We're talking about people, right? And I kind of laughed. And lo and behold, I saved this article. Every time I hear a person say that Halle Berry looks black, and to me, she doesn't look black. You know what I've always been saying Halle Berry looks like?
I saw her in person years ago.
I said, man, she looks West Asian. I would
agree.
think she was an Indian.
Her skin tone, absolutely.
Yes. Guess what? She went to Mumbai. Nobody knew her. She walked around Mumbai and nobody recognized her. She blended right in with the people. I posted this inside of the private chat for you guys because I can't post it into the other chat. So hopefully you can read that. That's an article.
Okay.
She blended in, and let me tell you this: West Asian people are very racist towards black people.
Yes, I know.
Just to let you know.
Yes.
But she wasn't seen as black. So this whole idea of what looks black is so much of a facade. It's crazy to see how people, and the thing about it, for someone who to say that when I hear somebody black saying that they want to return to their black heritage, but the thing about it, you want to do all of this stuff. You want to associate yourself with Africa, but you don't follow African standards. That's that's really boggling. But I just wanted to pose this for you guys.
Oh my God, I see it.
And when you read this, how she blended in.
How come she's never talked about this? That's interesting.
Because she's not going to talk about it, because she said some really stupid crap back in the past when, listen, have you gone out to explore the world?
Basically,
and actually knows what's going on?
It doesn't fit her narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why she's not going to touch on her experience in Mumbai, India. It's totally like making her eat her own narrative that she created alive. And it's embarrassing.
Correct.
And remember I told you earlier about that whole world, that absolutistic language? Stop saying the world, stop saying society. You can't speak for the world. Like you said, United States makes a small portion of the world. South Africa should be seen as a color or maybe something else. Now, remember, you said the world now. So that's already debunked just that alone. So, right? I mean, sorry, I'm not trying to be jocular here, but that alone debunks what you just said. Just South Africa alone.
Correct.
On top of what you just conflated with what you just said, and God knows what other places. So thank you for saying that, because when people say world, I lose interest. I don't want to talk to them anymore, because that's saying everyone in the world, and you cannot say that.
So here's one of the things that I was also coming up. The most thing is that for some reason or another, black women get it who have mixed race kids.
Yes.
And I think they more get it than white women. I think white women go around pushing this narrative that they have black children in order to be accepted by the black community, so to pretend to be on their side for some particular reason. It's just, and the thing about it is, when you look at most black women, obviously they have more stable families where the white husband is in the family, or more stable than the other way around, unfortunately. But from what I understand and from what I'm getting at it is that, well, Black women whom have mixed race children teach their children that they're mixed race and explained it in a very logical fashion. White women, for some particular reason in the United States, kind of deviate from this, and there is such an injustice to what they're saying, and they don't understand the sensitivity and how hurtful what they're saying. Because imagine this: you're a white woman and you're saying you can have Black children, you can have Asian children, you can have white children, etc. But to a Black woman and a Black woman here, you're saying that you have Black children, she can't have white children. See what I'm saying? A Black woman can only have Black children in that particular sense. That is so damaging. And I look at that as internalized racism within itself, you know?
Yes, I agree 100%.
Another topic before I end, because I have to also to get going myself. You guys brought up an interesting topic that you had somebody, I believe a family member or something, told you about one of your advantages, that you will be able to go in and out of different groups, etc. Because
my father.
Yeah, correct. So back home in the Caribbean, not my family, but I've had adults. I was around 8, 9 years old. I didn't understand what they said. They said, I'm going to kind of, because in back of my head it's still, and so I'm going. My dialect is going to change a little bit.
That's okay.
They say, "Boy, I gonna tell you something here, right? Don't let nobody tell you anything else. You have an advantage. You can go into the white people them. You could go in, you could walk in and out of there, and you could walk in and out there among Blacks. You could walk in and out of there with the white people them. But we can't do that. You have an advantage. Don't let nobody take that away from you." I was told that long time ago when I was 8, 9 years old. Wow. I didn't understand what they told me, because at that age you don't have that sense doesn't there. You know, I grew up in a white household, and then outside there are darker skinned Black people. You know, I have a white brother, so I didn't. I knew why they called my mom and my brother basically white. Because of their skin color, and then I knew why they called me red, because I was like the in between. So I understood all of that stuff, but I never understood it as being a racial category. When back, I just thought it was just a description. And technically speaking, that's what it comes down to. It's just a description. But yeah, I can definitely relate to that, and being told. And surprisingly, it wasn't from my white side I was told this. From the Black side that actually told me that. Yeah. So I wanted to bring that up to agree with you on that particular topic.
When I got married, let you know something real quick is before you go. I won't mention the name because I'm divorced from her. But anyways, her family, when she told them I was half Black, half white, they wanted to see me first. This is what I found out later on. And so when they saw me, they said, "Oh, he could pass for Hispanic. He could pass for different things." That was considered in their mind to be a privilege, an advantage. And so because of my hair, the main thing is skin complexion, facial features, yes, but it's mainly my hair. So when you get the hair in conjunction with everything else, the whole package looks like I can go into different groups and people are not going to question it. They considered that a compliment to me. But actually, when I thought about it in hindsight, I'm like, it was actually an insult. And I love my Hispanic brothers and sisters, but I had to masquerade in their mind as something else to be more accepted.
Yep.
Crazy, huh?
Yep.
Which they didn't realize that Hispanics are very much like us. Like I said, there's a different mixture. A lot of them have native or indigenous. European, Spanish, Portuguese, which is still European, just like I'm German and Serbian and Italian. They're all very similar because they don't have the diversity in Europe like they do in Africa. Africa, in terms of haplogroups, are more diverse. But anyways, they're very similar to me. Only difference is I have a white parent, Black parent. A lot of Hispanics, I won't say all because I don't know how many, but a lot of Hispanics are multi-generational mix. Some of them are more African, some of them are more European. You know, they're all over the place. So that's the only thing that I try to like have a conversation with them about is, okay, you're trying to pass me off as Hispanic, but do you realize you're passing me off as another mixed race person? And all of a sudden it's like, really? It's like, Puerto Ricans are mixed. I'm like, oh my God. So, and I literally did this. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't have time. If you guys are that ignorant, you don't know this. Listen. Let's change the subject. Talk about something else. Why do you look Puerto Rican? Is because we have similar backgrounds. Do you not understand it? Oh, we didn't know that. I'm like, oh my God, dude, come on. How do you not know this stuff? This is common sense. Spanish Inquisition, Spanish conquistadors raped and did all sorts of great. Like, how do you not know this stuff? Oh, and speaking of the rape, as you said, I think you said it, Mrs. Magic, or somebody else yesterday. Not all mixed race people are products of rape. I want to make that crystal clear.
Exactly.
That's another myth. Dr. Lewis Henry Gates dispelled that as well. And also, Black Africans enslaved other Africans and participated in sex trafficking and the slave trade just as much as the whites. So I want to make that crystal clear. Nobody gets a pass. They were all bad. But go ahead.
Oh, there is a book to what you said that was written by a white professor who was a female on the history, which no other historian has ever covered in American history. The name of the book is called, I believe, White Women, Black Men by something Rhodes. Hold on, let me bring it up. White.
Oh, I want to see it. You got to send it.
Yeah, White Women by it's called White Women, Black Men by Martha Hodes. By Martha Hodes. Let me see here. Martha
White
Hodes.
Women, Black Men.
Yeah, White Women, Black Men.
I gotta make like a book list so we can
yes, this brings up the history by going into the laws, the cases, actual documentation. Let me see here. Hold on, let me bring it up here and I'll post it for you guys. Here it is. And I read this book a while back, and it was really this is a part of American history that was missed. American history is basically being told in two different types of narratives. This is one of the narratives that basically is being the untold parts of America in regards to mixed race people. You know, they say that, well, mixed race people don't have a history, right? Well, there you go. That is the first beginning of mixed race history right there. Right spanking there and how it was posted. So when people come up and say, no, there's not, they say, these are people just so ignorant, you know, and as again, it's us versus them. So I wanted to share that with you all. It is a book that is worth reading if you are a mixed race to understand.
Let me get a screenshot of it.
Yeah, how to it's a book worth reading to get to go into and read, because it's not just making assumptions, it's bringing up documentation, cases, laws, and so on to understand what was actually going on back in that history. There's also another book after this that's written by a Native American. He covers the word mulatto and mestizo and all of this. We'll cover that in another day. Want to bring that up. I don't want to dump too much on you guys, but just this alone is that every mixed race person should study this to understand how mixed race people navigated, what they were fighting for, their identity they were fighting for, and how they were relatively not accepted back in that time by the Black community. They were rejected by all means. Yes, they got hostility on both sides. But then, like I said, they went to the side where there's least resistance, and a lot of these things are not being told, and it's all there in that book. So if when Black history basically was compiled and put together in the early 1900s, here we go. We have mixed race history that was compiled later on, closer going into the 21st century, which is 1993. So it was basically published. So we have our history that was compiled and actually put together, and it's all there.
Well, I'll tell you, I could talk to my family all
That's
night.
amazing.
Like, literally. The only reason why I have to leave is because I have a reading, because, I give readings around the clock. But I just want to tell all of you, I love you, my brothers and sisters.
I love you.
I'm so glad. See, I feel a peace that I don't normally feel in other groups. And I'm not trying to be anti. All I'm saying is because we understand each other. Like, I feel validated. It's a wonderful feeling. I can't explain it. As old as I am, this feels amazing to me. I feel like I'm walking in a candy store. It's just nice to talk to other mixed race folk that understand your belief system or your mindset or your experiences or just everything that goes with it.
It's healing.
It is
It's very
amazing.
healing.
It's very healing. Oh, absolutely. So I told you, I felt like I was alone all these years, especially in grad school. Like, I was the only one that would talk about this. I wish I had a peer, somebody I could identify with, that I could coalesce with and talk about these topics together. I just basically just talked to myself. It was that bad. I always felt alone. I felt very vulnerable, even though I stood my ground like Amber Rose. But it's nice when you have somebody else that's backing you up.
Yep. We got your back, brother. You know we do. We're gonna support you. That's what community's for. That's what we're here for. We're here to support you. We're here to uplift you. We're here to encourage you. You know, we're here to all of that. Okay, like that's what we're gonna do for each other. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Well, I want to leave this last thing before I go. I want to show something very important because, again, I'm against racism, sexism, homophobia, anti-Semitism. I'm against anything that's isms. I'm against it. Period. But this is something that opened up people's minds because I keep reading the same nonsense about Africa, all different shades. I'm like, guys, please open up a book. Please, just don't say anything. Open up a book. Africa is a very diverse continent. It's a pluralistic continent. All different groups, because they usually don't like mix with each other too much. Kind of stay in their own little. That's what I say. As opposed to an amalgamation, is more of a pluralistic type continent. Anyways, that's what years ago they say in grad school, and I'm like, it's true. It's not so much an amalgamation because they don't really too much cross. They kind of stay in their own. Now, maybe historically they were mixing, but today's people kind of stay with their own. But anyways, this is Morocco, everyone. That's in Africa.
Station, a young migrant from Senegal was knifed to death on August 12th. He lived in this poor neighborhood of the Moroccan capital. Here, like in many other Moroccan cities and towns, migrants hailing from sub-Saharan Africa face daily acts of violence.
I went out to buy something, so I saw three guys, three Moroccans, and they attacked me with a knife. They took my phone and some of my money.
Kingsley told us he felt lucky as he only suffered superficial knife wounds, but he said racism was rampant.
We are facing a lot of racism here in Morocco. They don't like we blacks. We don't have rights for many things. You can't sit. You can't talk to a woman. You cannot talk to a woman. It's not allowed here in Morocco. They don't give out job to black people. Even if you have the qualification, even if you are capable of doing the job, they can't give the job to you because you're a black man here in Morocco.
His outrage over constant discrimination is shared by many other migrants.
They call us monkeys when we were all equals. We have the same red blood flowing in our veins. Even women spit when we walk by.
For local anti-racist groups, Moroccans tend to openly abuse black Africans due to the government's discriminatory treatment of migrants.
You're in a country where the government very much targets black, sub-Saharan, illegal immigrants, down to the very words used to describe them. Immigrants are always linked to prostitution, AIDS, drugs, and human trafficking. I think this plays an important role. Institutional racism influences the local population.
Faced with increasing racist attacks.
Anyways, you get the gist of it. That's in Africa, Morocco. Again, to educate people. Those, I feel bad what happened to those victims, by the way. That's horrible. But all I'm saying, those are black sub-Saharan people. They're not the same. They're not seen as the same as North Africans. North Africans are not black sub-Saharan African. So just because Morocco's in Africa doesn't make them black Africans. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I want you to see that. I thought I lost all of you. All I'm saying is I don't agree with racism. I think that's awful. Those guys seem like they're really nice people. But my point is, when people keep saying the same stupid stuff, Africa is, diverse. Blacks are from the north are like, they're not black people. I don't know why they're saying that. They're more like Arabs. They're not the same haplogroup as Black Sub-Saharan African. I'm not saying they're better. All I'm saying is they're not the same. So people need to get that out of their heads, because that just shows you they make a distinction. If they're all the same, then we should love all our Africans. They don't see it that way.
Brother, just one thing I want to be able to elaborate on. I know a lot of Moroccans.
Yes.
I know a lot of Moroccans. Let's say I get along. I maneuver very well in the Middle East. Okay, and I know a lot of Moroccans, especially here in the United States. I have a Moroccan really close friend. Him and his family. He married also to an Asian woman. So him and I decided a while back. He decided to also to do a DNA test. Okay. The DNA test came back. He was 80-something% Berber, with about 2 to 3%, sub-Saharan.
Yes.
And the rest 10% or 8%, whatever it is that was there, or the rest 15%, whatever, was of Middle Eastern. But the vast majority was 80-some. He was over 80% Berber. That belonging to the Amazigh people there, had no European ancestry. So if you hear somebody tell you that, oh yeah, they're mixed with European, no, they're not mixed with European. It's just a different geographical location that had an effect of people, which has, again, it comes back to basically environmental adaptation.
Gotcha.
And he looks nothing West Central African. He looks, like I said, he looks more like of a Mediterranean person, that people from around that region, the way how they're supposed to look. But if anyone tells you that, no, because I took him, and he has a very large family. They had no European, zero, no Iberian, nothing from Greece or Italy or anything as such. It was over 80-something% there. There was probably one Arab ancestor just recently, because it was like I said, it was somewhere about around 10% or 15% or something like that. But the vast majority of his ancestry is Amazigh, which is Berber, which is native to that region of North Africa. I just wanted to input that, because
thank you.
There is a misnomer or information that because of their phenotype they must be mixed with Europeans. No, that is not true. The vast majority of them did not mix with Europeans at all.
Thank you for clarifying that. But I think we all can come to the consensual agreement that they're not Black Sub-Saharan Africans.
Right.
I'm talking about Northern Africans.
Correct.
No, they're
yes.
not. So I don't know where people's getting that from, but you need to open up a book. That's all I have to say about that. But that was good, great insight. Thank you for telling me that about the Berber. I know about the Berber history, but I didn't know about the percentages. That's something I wasn't sure about, like if they had any European, because I thought I read something years ago that North Africans, correct me if I'm wrong, I have to find the article, their haplogroups or the genetic markers are similar to Southern Europeans, especially Italians. That came through. It was a study. I got to find it, and I will send it to you. I don't know how accurate it is. But I do remember reading that, though.
Yeah, that's haplogroup. Haplogroup doesn't mean that there was an intermixing. Haplogroup is just basically these people were isolated within a particular reason, and the haplogroup is the people stayed within a particular region for a period of time, and basically develop their own specific types of genes. So it doesn't mean that, but yes, it can be said it's closer to there. Well, yeah, of course, because it's right next door. So yeah, they're going to share some similarity of haplogroup, but not necessarily that they intermix with each other. It's rarely any of that was what was done, especially how things were back then.
Somebody wrote a comment. People in America think North Africans are Black. Wow. Yes, many of them do. And again, not saying there's anything wrong with being Black. I want to make that clear, everyone that's watching this, not the panel. This is not an anti-Black platform. We're just making a point is it's not the same. So people need to stop homogenizing the Black race and saying that we're all the same. We're not. They're not the same. Stop homogenizing it. Sorry, I had to say that.
Way more chill.
Right?
I love that. Yeah, absolutely agree.
And stop doing that.
Absolutely agree.
And you guys are so smart. Like I feel like my IQ is going up talking to you guys. I feel like I love that you have an educational background because that's what we need. I'm so grateful that you're here so I could uplift your voice because you are bringing education to the table. You are bringing, no, these are the facts. And the facts are the facts. And it's like there's so much miseducation about us. It's nuts.
Oh
Like
my
you
God.
see me on those TikTok lives, like fighting all this miseducation. Like it's insane. Oh my God. And I just wish that, I want people like you to have more of a platform that are like, no, these are the facts and this is indisputable and this is who we are. We exist. We have our own identity. We have history. We have so much that people try to deny and take from us. And it's like, I'm just so passionate about this because, we exist. Like we're people too. We're human beings like anybody else. And we deserve to have our identity, our history and our culture, our everything respected about us, just like every other human being does. And it's like, it's going to take, have a fight
It's
to go.
it's a exchange. It's a what do you call it? A reciprocation here. We're all learning from one another. There's things
We're learning.
I don't know. We're all learning. I always tell people I'm not omniscient. I will never be. I just try to learn as much as I can while I'm on this planet. Now, if I learn something and it happens to be, a canard, a false report, then guess what? I'm open for new information. Like I don't pretend that I know everything because I definitely don't. There's a lot of things I do know, but there's some things there's always room for improvement. Like I said, these are teachable moments that we're having. We're learning from one another. I learn from all of you and you learn from me. We all learn from one another. And that's what I love, that this is a safe place to do it. We're not judging. Yep. We're not trying to, dominate somebody else or, we're not trying to do any of that stuff.
Right.
No egos. I just want to hear what you have to say, listen to your experiences, your paradigmatic views and vice versa. It's a great learning platform is how I see it.
And I'm so grateful.
There should be a title. There should be a book with the title "The Miseducation of the Mulatto." That should be a book.
That's a good title.
I really like that. Because even though mulatto has negative connotation with the whole thing with the mule, being sterile, whatever, the only reason I still kind of like mulatto, it's just my personal thing, is because it's a definitive description of the mix. That's why I like the term mulatto, because it doesn't mean mestizo, it means black and white. That's why I like that term. But I realize it has negative connotation historically. So now I replace it with the term Afro-PM. I love that.
And also also black also has an even worse origin than mulatto, because a lot of people, like foreigners, may not like the word black because they know that it was a term used to dehumanize the people of the sub-Saharan African continent and used to push imperialist and colonialist agendas. That's what they think about when they hear the word black. And then also anything that's prefixed with black is considered to be a terrible thing, such as blacklisted, black male, list goes on. So it's a much worse than mulatto.
That is very true.
The word black has always had a negative connotation to it. So psychologically, when you have a people that call themselves that, what I've tried to at least mention at least a few times is you do know that you're appending a term that has negative definitions and meanings to yourself and others like you.
Yes. In other words, there's a lot more historical baggage to the term black than there is historical baggage to the term mulatto. But one is just a lot more socially acceptable than the other. So I just think that people quit being hypocritical.
Yep.
But you're right, though. Black historically connoted all these bad things. You're a criminal. The dark represents evil. The spirits come out and all this nonsense. Black historically has always connoted bad things. So now when you associate a race with it, it's like, I don't want to be associated with that because that means bad. I want to be seen as good because white historically has always connoted good, pure, right? Angelic, right? Harmless, all these things, right? Angels, spiritual, all these wonderful things, and black is negative. So I agree with what you're saying is I do think that black has more negative connotation than mulatto. Yes, you have the mule thing, but still people embrace it. I don't mind the term mulatto because it defines my mix. That's what I like about the term.
Yeah, I'm Magic Mulatto. That's why I changed my name to, because I wanted to flip that whole trope of the tragic mulatto It's a magic. We're magical, you know, whatever.
We
That was
are.
my whole thinking point with that. So, but I like Euro Afric too. Have you noticed that ToeNailBreaker, that on my TikTok account is like Afro Euro organization? Because I was kind of inspired by what you were saying. I'm trying to play around with Afro Euro and Euro Afric to see if it like. I'm trying to play around with it, so just so we could have a specific term for us, you know. And that's something we debate about a lot in these spaces.
I do see
Like,
it,
what's
and
our
it's and
term?
it and it's I do see it, and it is going to resonate with a lot of people, especially people whom are saying like how we identify ourselves, and they think that they're trapped to only identifying themselves as black.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't do that, and they should not do that. If I mean, listen, if you're identifying yourself in order to be accepted by a group of people, then you don't belong around those group of people, because eventually they will reject you and they're only using you. Be around people who accept you for you wholeheartedly, for who your parents are and who your father are. That's something I learned after a period of time and years. It only took me 2 years to catch on to it when I came here. So having these terms, people will be able to relate to them, and they will be able to better come out and identify and say, yes, I'm Euro-Afric, or I'm Afropean, or I'm mulatto, etc. I don't specifically use the word mulatto, but I would use it if I was in Portugal or I was in a Spanish colony, because it's a Spanish word. It belongs in Spanish. And the
Yes.
word originally was applied to something. The previous word to it was called muladi, which turned into mulatto after a period of time. But I guess the West, they came up with this. They came up with the mule thing, etc., in order to tarnish it, to make it look bad, etc. We all know this, but they can't go into the etymology or the specifics of it or the history of it, how it was used by the Spanish. No, this is how it has to be used. So it's kind of funny, because they adopted the word Ethiopian, and where the Ethiopian comes from. Athiops it was I think it was Athiops, which means basically burnt faced.
Wow, I
didn't know
By
that.
the Romans.
I did
It
not know
means
that.
yes, because the thing about it is, back in those times, they had no specific color. They used descriptions of events in order to describe color back then in the language. And a lot of people don't understand that every language didn't have a specific, like orange. I mean, when you describe something as being the color orange, where did that come from? Well, the origin of the color came from a fruit. So what are you going to say when I call somebody as an orange? Am I calling them a fruit? If I say my car is orange, am I saying my car is a fruit? It's like these ridiculous things, people not understanding how languages are developed. They have no idea how languages are developed. So I don't really, but anyhow, I'm not offended of the word, but the word is, to me, is an archaic type word, which is, I think, is something that now we need to come up with something that was coined or made, coined or made, that makes sense, that is not offensive, that represents our heritage, and that's what I think.
I love it.
Absolutely. I love it too.
This
I
group,
tend to
I'm
agree.
telling you. What's that, brother?
Well, I tend to agree. I got to get going anyway because my phone battery's running down.
Okay.
But thanks for having me.
I too. I got 18%.
Yeah, this
left.
was a very good debate tonight. I enjoyed it. Somebody wrote on here, YouTube seems a little more chill than TikTok. I would agree. I just feel like, YouTube tends to have more mature type platforms, whereas TikTok, I'm not saying all, but there's a lot that just not my type
It's a
of
little bit
people.
more mature here. We're grown. We're having grown, intelligent conversations. We're not debating. You know what somebody told me? Somebody told me last night. He was a mixed guy. He told me that the one drop rule is a scientific fact. I was like, "Are you serious?
No,
it's a scientific fact.
He's absolutely lying his ass off.
And I was like,
Prove
"Are you
it.
kidding me?" I booted him off because I was like, "You're not gonna tell me that one drop rule is scientific fact? Like, you're insane."
So he's also probably the same person that believes in the 3/5 of a human being, all that came from slavery. Can't pick and choose. If you're going to accept the one drop, then you're telling me you love and embrace slavery. That's exactly what you're telling me. And all of a sudden, people get quiet. I'm like, well, we're not going to do that. Don't pick and choose. Anything from slavery, anything that was birthed from slavery is bad. Do we understand each other? Is bad. And
Right.
there's no scientific proof to support that one drop nonsense. Because that's all it is nonsense. There's no basis that shows that one drop supersedes, throws all the other out the window. That's not how genetics work. It's not how genetics work, period. So if that was the case, then Robin Thicke's son would not look the way he looks. Come on, guys, stop. Like, stop smoking. You know, do less of this and do more of this. Reading a book. You understand what I'm saying? Start reading the book. Stop. Get off of TikTok. Get off of Twitter and Instagram and open up a book. And I'm going to test you later on. You better get an A. No D's are allowed.
Okay.
It's just ridiculous. Like, man, we got to have this conversation. Like, who taught you about the race of the father? Where are you learning this stuff? No disrespect. I don't care what the Bible says. The Bible was still written by a man. It didn't fall from the damn sky, ladies and gentlemen. It was chronicled by a human being. And most likely that human being was biased on certain things. Let's keep it real. So the Bible is not an absolute. Do I have respect for it? Yes. But is this something that I would say is an absolute? No, of course not. It's not 100%. It was written by man. Hello? But please show me proof, scientific, medical proof that one drop is a real thing. I challenge you. Now, if you can provide some cogent proof, has to be cogent now, then I'll stand corrected. I have yet to see it. And I was an anthropology major. I didn't finish my master's in counseling, but I was going to be in the beginning. And trust me, that is a bunch of BS. It's a gross lie. That is not true.
Right. Somebody showing you love. Somebody showing you love. You getting love in the chat, you know.
Oh, I love Haley. I love you too. But listen.
Yeah.
But anyways, you know, hey, I get silly, but I love my peeps. I love my peeps. I love all people. But biracial, multiracial, multi-generational mixed people, I just feel like we more can understand each other. Whereas other people that want to learn, I would love to bring them in our circle to learn about us, but it's going to take a lot of work. But at least with us, it doesn't take a lot of work because we live the experience. It's a lived experience.
Yep. And I want to say this before I go. People are not dumb, okay? They know what they're doing. They know they know what's what. They know. But I think people purposely try to keep us confused because they don't want us to have an identity. Because they don't want us
That's
to have
what it's jealousy.
They make all these crazy
socioeconomic advantages that they don't want to see us.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
But the bottom line is they don't want us to exist. So it's like we got to make sure we pick and choose our battles wisely. If somebody's purposely like actually miseducated, I think that's one thing. And they're actually trying to like have us some respect for us and they're actually trying to like understand us. That's one thing versus somebody who literally hates us and doesn't want us to exist. And it's just pulling a bunch of crazy arguments out of their, you know, and it's just trying to purposely just trying to waste our time.
But those are the same people. They don't want us to exist. This, I told you, this is where the mental health issues come in. The bipolar, sorry, but that's where that comes in. They don't want us to exist. But the moment we take a job from them, just keeping it real here, the moment we're chosen over them for whatever it is, a job, housing, education, a mate, whatever, then it gets noticed. You notice that? Yep. As soon as I take something that they feel, oh, I got it because of my skin or my hair or whatever it is, now all of a sudden, now you want to make the distinction. Before you want us to be the same. You see, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to make up your mind.
Can't have both.
Exactly. It's one or the other. If you want acceptance mix, wonderful. But if you're going to say we're the same and I get some advantages that you feel you were slighted because of your demographic makeup, then I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And that happens all the time. Oh, well, mixed race women are black like us. And then all of a sudden they get all of our men. Why are you saying they're getting all your men? I thought we're all the same. You're making a distinction right there by that comment. That mere comment you just made. You are making it. See, as I told you, you talking about us being confused. No, I think it's the other way around. You're the ones that are confused, not us.
Exactly. Not us. Nope. We're not claiming that no more. God bless. It was real. I love this convo. We're gonna keep coming on here. We're gonna keep because I'm here to uplift your voice. You have a very important voice that is like so needed for us. You know, you come with so many facts. You're highly educated. You're super smart. And I just love how you break everything down, so real and passionate, and you got a good spirit and good heart, and we love you so much. And I love you, Georgia. Same goes to you. You're so educated. Both you two, get rid in a family with you two. Okay, you two
And
right
probably,
here.
well, listen, everyone, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to sound like we're superior. I don't get into that. But there's a few. I don't know. I'm talking about years ago when I was in grad school. There were some small sample population studies done on mixed race people, and what they concluded, and I remember this years ago because I talked about this during my presentation, that mixed race people they found in their sample population to be one of the most intelligent people on the face of the earth. Did you know that?
No way.
I swear to God.
I believe it.
They
I
were
believe it.
talking more about
Hearing y'all
black,
tonight,
white, mixed,
I
and
believe it.
Asian black. Blasians and Afropeans, they weren't really talking about like Asian and white. It was more Blasians and Afropeans. They talked about in their study, they found them to be abnormally like intelligent, like highly educated, like almost to the point where they were like, what's the word I'm looking for? Gifted, precocious, gifted. It's true. And high achievers. And I'll be honest with you, that is very true as well. Like, I'm not saying other groups are not, but look at like Tiger Woods, like all these major mixed race people that are pioneers, very successful, high achievers. I don't know what it is. And what they concluded, now they were just, I guess, surmising in their studies that when you blend two, it creates something magical.
We are magic. There we go.
Magic's
a lot,
Yeah, it's like your
yes.
your handle.
We're magic, okay?
It's something magical. I don't know what it is. Highly educated, overachievers. They talked about it, and I'll be honest with you, it's true. It's very true. Like I remember when I was in grad school, I would have professors. Now I didn't even finish my master's. I'm talking about PhD, doctoral level, professors. They would confer with me on how to use certain terms, certain words in a sentence, and I'm like, what? And they didn't see anything wrong with it because they're like, your vocabulary is so out there. I sometimes find myself wanting to call you and ask you, how do you say this word, like similitude, all these vicissitudinal, all these words, these big words. I'm like, I'm not trying to use them to gloat. I just use it because I love language. I'm a logophile. I love language.
Yep, language is power.
And I would try to use all the different, terminology, the different suffixes, whatever. But I remember one professor called me in the afternoon, Dr. Patton, like, how do you say, or what does the word vicissitudinary mean, or vicissitudinal? How do you put it in a sentence? I'm like, well, that means, sudden, massive, unpredictable changes. So the vicissitudes of the economy can make a rich man poor. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to use that. She used to call me to confer on how to use certain language in her presentations, and I felt incredibly honored. Saying mixed race people are highly educated people, and I'm not gloating, it's just a fact. So
it's just a fact.
I love all of you. Haley, I love you too, baby.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Have a wonderful night. I'm looking forward to talking to you again. Okay.
There's one thing I wanted to end on though.
Sure.
It was also in regards to like also what you were talking about earlier, Priscilla, though, and just kind of like in regards to how like implementing anti-miscegenation laws are just going to do nothing but just backfire like on a high level, right? Like the magnitude of it backfiring is very real, right? So like during colonial Louisiana, you had a handful of the Frenchmen intermingling with many of the local Native and African women. They then started to form the Creoles too. Creoles were born. But then those same Creoles, especially those like Marie-Therese Coin, along with Claude Pierre Batoyer, they formed like the first parish community along the Cane River in not so much southwest, but exactly. No, I was right. Southwest Louisiana along the Cane River. It was a very successful church community made up of those like us. And then like their descendants ended up just, carrying on that legacy, despite there being anti-miscegenation laws implemented during colonial Louisiana prior to the 1803 purchase. So it didn't seem like the anti-miscegenation laws during that time made a huge difference. And even prior to like the 1967 Loving v. Virginia case, there were still a handful of us being born by the day, despite there being laws against such. Because even like Mildred Loving herself, she was Afro-Indigenous, and she actually embraced her Native American roots when she was married to Richard Loving.
Huh.
Well, all right. Thank you so much.
Didn't seem like it made a difference, but you guys have a good day.
Okay, I love all you brothers. We'll talk soon. Send me a friend request on Facebook. Love you. Bye, everyone.
Love you.
Peace.
I love what you said, George. Okay, bye, y'all.